What's up, Ray Ray?
No!
Why? I just learned that.
I love it. Because people, like my family, like everyone does call me Ray Ray in all seriousness.
Yeah.
Like we could be in an apocalyptic situation. My mom would be like, Ray Ray, run. Like that's actually, they do call me Ray Ray in all seriousness. So that's fine. We can keep that.
Is that like inside or is that known amongst the world?
Amongst the world, yeah. I mean,
all right, so Ray Ray's good.
Ray Ray's good. And
so that was a good,
all listen. We can keep
that was a good laugh.
No, that's my hearty laugh. That's my, I've been told I have a hearty laugh.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm glad that we can keep going with that.
Yes, yeah.
So
Ray Ray amongst
excellent. So Ray Ray's here, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be joined by actress of the stage and screen, fellow classmate, and food critic, as I'm delighted to discover. I'm talking about the one, the only, the vivacious Rachel Aspen. How are you, my dear?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fine. All is well. It's interesting. I was going to frame this conversation from the perspective of someone who is just starting their journey as a screen actor, which you kind of sort of are. And you already have some great jewels on that belt in terms of cool gigs that you've already had. But I was delighted to discover this bedrock of theater that you have in your background. I mean, you did a ton at Rutgers University and beyond. You did Anything Goes, She Kills Monsters, The Putnam Spelling Bee, Hamlet, Frankenstein, the Laramie Project at the ASH Theater. And recently you ended up at Yale University. So tell me, how does this mezzo-soprano, classically trained South Jersey girl end up in New Haven for the world premiere of The Horrors?
I wish I could structure a sentence as beautifully as you do, because that was good. Yeah, I wanted to be Rory Gilmore. I wanted to go to New Haven. Now, so the way that all happened is a good friend of mine, Doa, she's in her final year at David Geffen School of Drama at Yale, pursuing her master's in projection design. She's extremely talented. I met her at Rutgers. She's a very dear friend of mine. And she at Yale Summer Cabaret, I think they were having, I don't know if they had anyone in their in the school that was kind of fitting that the breakdown of the character of Olive Horror. So she had reached out to me in like June, and she was like, "Hey, can you want to self-tape for this?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I haven't done a musical in a really long time." So but yeah, I sent that tape in, and they wound up wanting to book me, and so I wound up going to New Haven this past summer. It was amazing. It was everything I hoped and dreamed it would be. I love Connecticut. It's my favorite state, which when I tell people that, they're kind of like, why? People from Connecticut are like, why? Everyone else is like, yeah, because it's just, I love Connecticut. It's beautiful. New Haven, New England is just my favorite place of the continental US. And yeah, I got to wake up every day, go to the beach, because it was June. I could go to the beach, get an overpriced latte. Every day I would try a new coffee shop, and then I would go to rehearsal. And I took it very seriously. I showed up day one, and I pretty much, I feel like I was like 80% off book day one. I took it very seriously. It was everything I hoped it would be. And it was a brand new work, written by Naomi Park and her brother Jonah Spear. And it was amazing. It was very Addams Family-esque, a dark comedy. Yeah, so that's how I ended up there, because of a friend of mine who, I guess it just goes back to, you never know where your paths will take you with people that you meet. But she's also a really dear friend of mine.
Mm-hmm. So it comes down to who you know as well for these opportunities.
Yeah, it just worked out that way. But I will say, I auditioned fair and square.
Of course you did.
I did.
No one disputes this.
They just happened to need someone in my demographic, and she's like, I know someone, and I sent in my tape. So I ended up there. But yeah, I was the only person that was not a part of the Yale community in the cast.
Interesting.
So I got to pretend I was a Yale student, which is a dream. Freaking dream.
So you're pseudo Ivy League because of this experience.
I am. I went to Yale, okay, for 3 weeks. I was in Yale.
3 weeks is all you need.
I know. It was great. It was great.
Well, the horror theme continues with you as you dovetail into the short films. I mean, you've done dozens of them, and most notably the one called Nails.
Oh, yeah.
So you have Nails and you have Alice and the Vampire Queen. So just curious, was horror something you consciously wanted to get into, or it was that's just what the gig was?
That's what the gig was, baby. No. No, but I'm not saying that I don't dislike doing horror. It's just, I feel like when I was, first starting off, which is still, you find a lot of non-union indie work. It's always horror. It just kind of worked out that way, with these opportunities. But yeah, no, I wasn't consciously like, I want to be a horror star. I feel like my R sounds so weird, horror star. No, I mean, as you know, I've talked about it in class, what my goal is, and the projects that I want to do is like coming of age indie stuff. Like I want to do teen dramas. Like that's just where what I want to do right now. But yeah, I had a little bit of a horror run last year.
Hey, like you said, it's whatever the gig is, and horror has its fans. It really does, regardless of the budget. As long as the project gets out there to some extent, then it's not only a good experience for you, but maybe you can grab a few fans in the process.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely enjoyed it too, especially getting to do special effects. That's something that I had never worked. No, yeah, I guess I'd never done special effects before, like with like the makeup and getting stabbed. And yeah, I died in both of those. Spoiler alert. I get revived in one, but I died in both. Which is something that I guess I didn't think I'd have to do in this near future. I don't know, but I enjoyed it, and I think I have a good horror scream. I think, yeah. So,
is it hard for you to die on camera?
That's a question I never thought I'd be asked. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Because some people take forever to die. Some die right away. Some people bug their eyes out.
I think I'm in a medium. I think it's more so like because we just did our self-tape in class the other day, and logistically I want to be able to logistically, like I started doing like the girdling thing, and they're like, no, that wouldn't happen if you get stabbed in the stomach. So it's a kind of like, I want to be able to die accurately on camera, but I don't want to Google that because that's going to be my search history. If I Google what happens when someone gets stabbed in their stomach. So I don't know if it's hard for me to die on camera. I don't know. I haven't had much work doing it. I've only done it a few times, but I don't know.
Well, can I mention what you and I did in class this past week?
Yeah, absolutely. We had to give the context.
We're filming this around Halloween time, and we had to do a scene where someone is stabbed to death, and we have the stabby and the stabber. And I initially read for Rachel, and it was really interesting because Rachel read for both roles, as we all did. So she was the one who got stabbed in the gut, and then she had to turn around and be the one that was doing the stabbing. And you did something that I never thought you would do. You had the scowl going, which is patented. It's in your wheelhouse. But after you stabbed me off camera, you took the knife and you licked the knife. What the was that?
I don't know. I wasn't planning. That just happened. I just had the knife and I was like scowling like this. I was like, what do I do? I was like, so I did that.
But you realize that immediately paints a very definitive portrait of your character.
I guess, yeah.
It's not like, I didn't mean to do this. I really wanted to do this. There's something else going on. Are you a bloodlust zombie? Are you a vampire? I mean, it was a very specific choice, and I'm going, whoa, interesting.
Yeah. I made that choice not realizing how it would, paint me in like a sexual light, which I don't want to be painted in. But yeah, I made the choice. And you and Brian were like, what the fuck? And I was like, I don't know. But to be fair, with that prop knife, I did not actually put my tongue on it. I was, respectful of the other people that would be using that. I mirrored it. But yeah, I licked the knife. I licked
As with most things in class, they are implied, but she's a knife licker, ladies and gentlemen.
Ew.
Rachel Aspen, knife licker. That'll be on Google.
Gross.
Yay. But you mentioned, anyway, getting off horror for a moment, you did mention that you do have an aspiration of doing indie film, and you have done it. And take me back to summer 2024 when you were in Chicago and you did this 4-day guerrilla shoot independent film. And then I want to go into the digital vertical short. I want you to educate this Gen Xer on what that is. So take me to Chicago and then take me into the digital vertical shorts.
Yeah, I mean, I think something good for everyone to know about me is that I am figuring this shit out as it's going on. I listened to all the other episodes so far, and everyone's like, I was so green, I was yellow. I mean, I don't know if I'm yellow, but I'm green. So I'm trying to figure this out too. So we'll touch on that. Putting my feet back. So I was just in, we shot in Indiana, Northwest Indiana. That was a really, really cool project that I had the opportunity to work on. They casted it through Actors Access. Funny enough, I actually self-submitted myself for that. But then once I was through the callback process, I looped my agent in, because I figured, I was like, this is way over my head. I'd submitted for that. I feel like middle of August. I got the audition request. I did my tape, and then I was shooting that vertical short form that week. So, I set my tape and didn't think anything of it. And then I remember being in the car at like 12 a.m. and getting the email. They're like, hey, Rachel, like we want to schedule you for a Zoom chemistry read. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I was like, I liked that tape that I sent, so that's awesome. And then I went through a series. It wasn't even like I just went through a series of Zoom chemistry reads. And I learned pretty quickly on that, I had booked it. And then it was like a week later. It was a very, very fast process. It was like a week later. I was flying from Philly to Chicago. And then I went to Goth Summer Camp because it's a coming of age indie film about these two emo teenagers in the summer of 2006. So I look absolutely nothing like myself, but two teenagers, summer of 2006. And it's like a summer that changes everything. Don't want to give away a big plot line, but it's everything that I want to do. So I had the most fun at Goth Summer Camp. And I look at it like when I go to these places and I work on these shoots, I'm like, I made friends. So I look at it like I made all these friends, I had such a great time. That was a really, really cool project. And they actually did a behind the scenes video series on YouTube because the people that are making this, Rachel Gulata and Daniel Inskeep, they are Mango Street Lab. They have a very successful YouTube channel. And they're doing a cool how to make a short film behind the scenes series. And in that, they actually do a whole like 4 minutes dedicated to what it was like to cast that project. So, as an actor who's figuring this out, I'm like, oh, this is so cool to see how this works. There was like 4,000 submissions for that. They opened it. It was a nationwide casting call. And yeah, that's
Wow.
right. I know. I was like, Mom, I was like, it was like 4,000 people. And I got to be one of them. So thank you. But it was a really cool. I hope I answered your question. I'm a rambler.
You did.
I did. Yeah. Okay.
So you did your indie, you did the goth emo thingy.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. So what the best that you can describe it, what is a digital vertical short?
Oh my God. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's for the girls that read Wattpad, which I was after your time. Sorry, Paul.
You're making me feel old now. Thanks,
the girls in 2012 Tumblr who were reading the Wattpad One Direction fan fiction, rise up. That vertical short forms are for you. Funny enough, my sister, who is 30, she's a mom of 3 kids. She sends in our family group chat. It's like one of those, like when you're scrolling on TikTok and you get like this ad for like these short like web series, and the storylines are ridiculous, but they reel you in. My sister was literally like, I need to watch this show. This is real. And I'm like, I know girl. I know the girl who's in the show, that this web series that you're seeing. It's like these short form content. It's filmed vertically for your phone. And I think I've never, you know what? I did kind of watch a little bit of one on TikTok because I wanted to prepare for what I was working on. And they suck you in. It's like soap operas, but for like, I think the demographic is middle-aged women. I think that is what the demographic's for. But it's like these soap opera short form content, and they're ridiculous storylines. The titles give away what the storyline's about. The titles are like, my CEO husband had a baby without me. And it's like, I wonder what that show's about. And you scroll, I guess, and it just captivates you. And my sister watched the entire thing. She watched this one. I was like, that's so funny because I know the girl that's in that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I gave you a good example because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I don't think my agent did either. She got me the audition because it was listed as a web series. And I was like, Pat, I don't think you realize what you got me. And then I worked on it. She was like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to do those again.
Were you happy you did it or no?
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like the last 6 months on my Actors Access breakdowns that I'm seeing, out of nowhere, it's all of these vertical short form, mobisode, web series. And I'm like, what is this? And it's like the titles are crazy. And the character breakdowns are like 2 paragraphs long, which is like, if they're giving you too much of a breakdown, you already know what you're getting yourself into. But what fascinates me is that they pay so well. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I've been, selective about which ones I submit myself for. Because some of them look like they're like these like huge, big budget things. I'm like, what is this? And so, yeah, for the last few months, I have been very curious. So when I did get an audition, I was like, all right, I'm like, let's do it. So I am happy that I did it. It was in many ways what I thought it would be. And in many ways, it was, better than I thought it would be. It was, I'm not here to say it was, a bad experience, but.
Is it safe to say that you were shooting a lot of footage in a short amount of time?
Yes. And we shot a lot, and it was very much like 1-2 takes. Let's go. Let's move on. And I had a lot of hurry up and waiting for that because I played a supporting character. I played the sister of like the lead. Most of these shows are very much like heteronormative relationships. Like you have businessman CEO, and then you have like 20-year-old blonde girl trying to work up her business. Like that is pretty much what these shows are, from what I can tell. I'm not a spokesperson for this content. And I played the sister of that leading lady. So I had, a supporting role, but I had a lot of downtime. So yeah.
Well, that's the norm of all screen acting, is it not? We get there at 5 a.m. and then if they shoot our scene at 4 in the afternoon, that's a normal day, right?
Yes, yeah. But then the flip side, a week later, I went out to the Chicago suburbs and I shot that indie, and I was in every single scene. So it was like, this is crazy because I'm doing the same hours, like 12, 14-hour days. And when you're not working, like it goes by so slow. But when you're working in every single scene at Goth Summer Camp, the day goes by like this. It goes by so fast.
Right. And when you're working when you're doing that much content and shooting that much in terms of scenes in a short amount of time, that's really got to flex a specific acting muscle in you to the point where you're thinking, you don't have time to think. It's what's the gist of this scene? What's my motivation? Knock it out and move on. There's not a lot of time to ruminate and to get into your head, right?
Yes. And there also was a particular scene, I think that gives a good example of like the person we were being directed like, okay, your sister's coming home, right? We're shooting her at the front door, and you and your partner, you and your boyfriend are at home waiting for her. Get her inside the house. Like, go, run, chase her, bring her in. I'm like, why? Why in the script? I was literally saying, well, I'm like, why? What's the motivation? Because they had us keep shooting this again and again. They wanted it to be like ridiculous, over the top. Like, you're home, come inside. I'm like, but why? And then the director turned to me, she was like, because it's a comedy. And I was like, oh no. This is not, no. Yeah, so there is a little bit of there is a style of acting for sure that they probably want out of you. But I found that everyone that I was working on with that project, they were all very serious, trained actors. They knew what we were working on, and I was blown away. Everyone on that set was very, very talented. And the one girl, she was like, if the script doesn't make sense, you can just change the words around a little bit. I'm like, okay, good. We took the liberty of changing some of the lines around because they didn't make sense. So yeah,
and don't forget the genre.
I know.
Don't forget that you're in a comedy.
I know, but yeah.
Nice, beautiful. Well, speaking of comedies, if you can call it this, take me to your experiences with director Dan Lance. Let's get to Cash Storm. Your fellow castmate Becca was on the show, and she talked about it. And I'm curious for your perspective on the Dan Lance experience.
It's great. I never thought that I would be chosen to be one of Dan Lance's children, but I think that's Papa Dan. That's Papa Dan. It actually all started for me with Alice and the Vampire Queen, which we can talk about later, but that came first. I got the audition for that. I booked that through my agent. And once I worked on that project. I had so much fun working on that and meeting everyone. And then, a couple months later, Dan he said to me, he's like, I have a role for you. And so my audition I didn't audition for Cash Storm. It was an actor's dream. I think that's what you guys had talked about that on a previous episode. I watched all the episodes. I'm not sure whose that was in. Yeah. Big fan, Paul, big fan. But yeah, that is an actor's dream to have someone, say I have a role for you. And I think when he was writing Cash Storm, he wrote the roles for all of us. For me, Shelby Hightower and Rachel Nielsen, he wrote those to our strengths and our weaknesses. So yeah, Cash Storm was a unique process because it was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And then 2 weeks later, we were doing it. So that was great fun working on a Dan Lance project. A lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not trying to think of what words I could sum it up as, but it was fun.
And you have the experience on set, you have the premiere, it gets out there, it's streaming. So you got the whole enchilada with that project, right?
I did for both of them, for Alice and for Cash Storm. Yep.
So with Alice, were you a vampire in that one?
I was, yeah.
Again, you mentioned earlier that horror is not something you consciously wanted to get into, but do you find straight horror or horror comedy more fun than the other? Horror comedy. Horror comedy.
And the thing about Dan's movies is that they don't take themselves too seriously. They poke fun at themselves, especially Cash Storm. It's ridiculous. It's a money tornado. But yeah, there's the movie itself. It's funny. It's ridiculous. It's so funny, and the movie definitely is aware of that, and I like that. I like doing horror comedy for sure because I'm definitely more of a comedic actor.
That's where your strength is.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, ever since you broke into the Actors Lab Philly this past summer, you quickly established yourself as the life of the party. So this doesn't surprise me one bit.
Wow, thanks.
Your penchant for comedy.
I just say ridiculous things and I don't realize that they're ridiculous until I see the reactions from other. I just feel I don't know. I say things and everyone in the room will be like, what? Where did that come from?
You should see our faces when you go on a rant. I mean, have you ever considered stand-up?
I had a costume assistant tell me that on a Hilton commercial that I did, she's like, you should do stand-up. And I'm like, wow. And I said to my boyfriend, he's like, I don't know if he can do stand-up.
I'm telling you, Ray, if you can channel that somehow, and I would challenge you to do 5 minutes, just to come up with a 5-minute routine about these little musings that you have. We don't have to get into them. I don't want to embarrass you, but some involve Mark Ruffalo and how he may or may not smell.
Okay,
we'll keep it at that. But you know what I mean. I think it would be funny as hell.
Thank you. I think I have the potential to learn how to do stand up, but I love comedy. I love watching stand up, and it's so hard. Oh God, I don't know. I would cry. I would probably cry if people didn't, if it wasn't received well. But also the context for that is that I don't know. I don't even know how that got brought up. I think Mark Ruffalo, and I said aloud what I was thinking. I think Mark Ruffalo smells good. And I think he does. I think he smells like a rugged, I don't think he smells like, like cologne, Versace. I think he smells like rugged, like pine, like tree. And I would like to give that man a hug.
Mark, if you're ever listening or watching to this, contact Rachel and set the record straight, please. We're tired of hearing about it in class. Like oak barreled cedar wood, I'm sure. That's the prototypical masculine scent. Anyway. Oh my God. Have I started yet? I have.
I know. I'm sorry. I feel like I keep rambling too.
No.
I'm like, am I answering your question?
But you are doing stellar. But yeah, as far as the hard goes with stand-up, it's the hard that makes it great. But I think it's just like the drug. If you can get people to belly laugh over something you say, that's power. And that's the drug. That's the adrenaline that just makes you want to do it more and more.
Mm-hmm. It's all about delivery too. Like, I feel like, you take, anyone can do the same routine, but it really does depend on who's delivering it and your comedic timing, if it hits or not. There's a science behind it, and it's like, I don't know if I feel like a scientist. But yeah, I mean, that would be a dream if I could do that. But the pressure, I feel like, of having to keep being funny and to keep being relevant and to keep doing that, like, that's crazy. That seems so hard, of having to keep having new material, like that's what worries me.
Mm-hmm. I guess you have to want to do it. I guess you have to have a brain that is attuned to the news and to life and how people react to things, and to kind of have it, to come at it with a particular perspective.
Yeah.
If you have it, you have it. If you have that interest, not, but keep it in the back of your mind, Ms. Aspen. I would challenge you, because I think there might be a kernel there. I think there might be a seed there that wants to just germinate.
Could you imagine, like, me 25 years from now, like, that's like my career, like, I do stand up?
I can imagine it.
I can't. That would be so crazy.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad that this is out in the ether, and I'm glad that we have this on tape, because I'm hoping that you will contradict yourself in a good way.
I know. That's why I
25 years from now.
I'm so open to the universe taking me in whatever direction it takes me in, but that would be really funny if that's what I'm doing. Anyway, though, sorry for the tangent.
But the universe took you in an incredible direction last year. You did this little thing called Tires, and oh my freaking golly gee, it became #1 on Netflix. So you are one of the car wash girls. And take me through it. What was it like to be a tire girl and to be on Tires?
I think the common thread about that I'm realizing about myself and all these projects that we talked on, like Alice and the Vampire Queen, I show up on set not knowing what the hell I'm doing. Like, a lot of times, like, I didn't, like, when I got that audition via casting networks, which I feel like I normally, use Actors Access. So I got that through casting networks through my agent, and it was listed as a comedy web series. And I was like, okay. Like, when I showed up on day one, I had no idea what I was working on. I had no idea. I Googled, John McKeever, and I saw like some of his, I Googled like the director and the casting director, but no, I didn't even realize Here he casted that. I had no idea. It wasn't until I was talking with Rachel Keefe, and she's like, Here he cast this. And I'm like, oh, really? Because that's like, the leading casting agency in Philly. I'm like, do they know who I am? Like, I feel like I send so many freaking wow auditions to them. Do they know me? Yeah, so that comes in as comedy web series. I'm reading the sides, and I'm like, this is so funny. And I read for like Reagan and Alexis. Like, there wasn't. And for the final project, I think there was. So Reagan is she's the older woman. And by older I mean like 30. You know what I mean? As opposed to, cut that out, because I don't want that to come off the wrong way. I don't want that to come off as mean. That's not. She's
young, folks. She's young.
I'm young. Okay.
Beautiful youth.
Thanks.
Ain't it grand?
Cut that out, Paul. So yeah, for the sides that I had received, it was Reagan and Alexis, and they were like, read both roles. And Alexis, and in it like the scene was so different from what it wound up being. It was like, damn, Alexis with that divorce body. Like, that was one of the lines. Like, And I was like, oh, do I look old enough to be married and divorced? I'm like, I don't know. I wound up taking the liberty of wearing a bikini for my audition. You could only see the top half of me though. Like, it's not like you could see, it's not like I was like me. And for that audition too, I didn't have a reader. And the cardinal sin is not having a reader, I guess. I recorded myself reading the other lines, and I had to time that out. And I hate doing that, but I didn't have a reader. And I know Snow had mentioned on her episode that she had to do that with one of her auditions too, like reading with herself. And that made me feel so relieved because I'm like, oh God, I have to do that a lot of times. Because a lot of times when you get these auditions, it's like, yes, I have to plan it around my schedule, but I have to plan it around everyone else's schedule for who can read with me, you know? So for my take for that, I read with myself. I think I'm going to burp. I don't know if I want you to keep that in. You can probably keep that in. That was a week. That was like a 3 out of 10.
This is the funniest podcast yet.
Are you serious? No.
Yes. Keep going.
Okay. I'll keep
this is gold. Are you kidding me?
Are you serious? I feel like
yes.
I'm making no fucking sense. Like I'm like making no sense. I feel like my brain is crazy. Okay.
People are grinning and smiling and laughing right now. Trust me.
Yeah, they're probably like, she's dirty. She's gross. Okay. So I send in my tape. And then I go about my life being a silly little girl. It was August of last year. So I was going to the beach, being a silly girl. And I think, I didn't hear anything for like 2 weeks. And I'm at the point in my life where I send a tape. I don't think anything of it. And a lot of times, like, my mom, she's very supportive. She'll be like, did you hear back? Like, when she will film an audition with me, she'll be like, did you hear back? My mom, I'm not even going to tell you until I book something. It's not worth it for me to tell you what I'm called back for or whatever. It's not even worth it at this point. In the very beginning of when I started doing this, I would tell my mom every single time I had a self-tape. And now it's like, I can't do that anymore. I just can't. So yeah, I had submitted that audition, put it out in the ether, didn't think anything of it. I got a call from my agent and she was like, remember that one thing? I'm like, wait, the one thing or the one thing? And we had to like do a little bit of tag. I'm like, oh, the thing, the comedy web series, the Me in the Bikini. And she's like, yep, they want to, I think I don't even think I had a callback. I think I just booked it. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And I was like, oh, I felt good about that audition. So I'm happy to hear back about that. Yep, it was a quick turnaround. We shot that, I think, August 30th and like September. No, I think it was like August 30th, August 31st. I have a very good memory. But again, all I knew of it was that it was a comedy web series and I had looked up John McKeever and I watched some of their Delco proper and I was like, this is really funny. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know who Shane Gillis was. I'm sorry. Day one, I'm on this. I have no idea what I'm doing. We didn't even have the full scene. I didn't have the full episode. I had no idea what the characters were. I didn't know what episode I was in. I didn't know the name of the show. I knew nothing. And I didn't care. I showed up. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to say my few lines. I didn't even know, I think I had a few lines. Sorry, I'm working this through. I'm doing mental gymnastics right now. But it wasn't and we sat around from like 8 a.m. I think till like, we had like lunch. We didn't start shooting, I think, till like 4 or 5. And the first thing we shot was the shipping container scene. And my first line was, I'm not getting into a fucking shipping container. And I remember feeling like I have one line and I'm not doing it good. And I learned very quickly into the process with being on that shoot. I learned very quickly that everyone there was improvising and I'm like, okay, well, I came to play. So most of my lines that made it into the final cut, they were not written. I improvised most of them. Like the line that I said to Shane, I was like, you're like old enough to be our dad. I'm pretty sure, I improvised that. That wasn't written in the script. And that wound up making the trailer for the show. So like when the show had got picked up by Netflix, like I still was like, I don't know if I'm going to even make the final cut. But when I had seen that was in the trailer, I was like, oh shit. What was the question, Paul? Just talking about tires?
The question was, what was it like to be on Tires? And you are painting the Sistine Chapel of Tires experiences. So please.
I could keep going. I could tell
Please.
I could tell you, I have a really good memory. what else do I remember? But yeah, the first person that I really bonded with was Rachel Keefe, who you know, and yeah, she was so sweet. And yeah, I just realized what I was working on until like at the end of the day, I think I realized that some of the people around me were acting like a little bit kind of like, hey Shane, like kind of like a little giddy. And I was like, what's that all about? And then I think through conversation, I kind of realized, wait, you want to see, he's the wait, what? He was on Joe Rogan. And then I text my boyfriend, and then someone had said that he was on Kill Tony, and my boyfriend Dylan and my boyfriend Dylan's very plugged into comedy. He loves watching comedy. He watches Kill Tony. He likes Rogan's podcast. I don't agree with Joe Rogan's political beliefs. I'm just gonna put that out there. But anyway, so I text my boyfriend Dylan. I'm like, do you know who Shane Gillis is? And he was like, yes, wait, are you on Gillian Keeves? I'm like, I don't know. And I sent him a picture and like changed the background. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, where are you? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm in Westchester. I'm on a comedy web series. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. But yeah, I feel like a lot of that was trial and error. I think the first day I was very much just like observing. And then by like day 2 that I was on set and we were filming these scenes, I was like, okay, I'm gonna improvise. I came to play. I don't know. I don't know how to be a background actor. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how, when you're watching like sitcoms and they have, you know, the main lead acting crazy and I think was it your story, Paul, that's how you got your SAG card, because you were supposed to be background and you spoke?
Yeah, that happened on How Do You Know? It comes down to what happens in the moment. And you mentioned it beautifully. I want to touch on 2 things where you felt like you weren't saying the line right, and the beauty and the magic of improvising on a set, because you have the script, you have the blueprint, but it's a blueprint and it's not a substitute for the moment and the magic that can happen when people interact. And that happened to me on one of my first movies that I ever worked on. And it ended up getting me my SAG eligibility because of the generosity of another actor. And it also speaks to what you did with that line. You have to have the confidence in yourself. This is the lesson. Having the confidence in yourself to improv, to ad-lib, to be in the moment entirely when that take is happening, when the camera is rolling, because you never know what gold is going to happen. And good directors know this. It happened to you. You said that line. It got into the trailer. And the same thing happened to me on the movie American Pickle. I'm sitting in an audience as a reporter, and I'm reacting to what someone is saying on a stage. And the camera was in a medium close-up of me and another reporter, and something ridiculous is being said. And I just shoot a side look to the reporter, like, are you effing kidding me about what we're hearing? That ended up in the trailer for the movie. No one told me to do that. There was no direction saying, Paul, give a quick look. It's about doing your job, and doing your job also means being in the moment and acting as if for that character. And when you do that, little golden nuggets appear out of nowhere, and they service the story, they service the director and what they're trying to do, and it makes you look great. So you discovered that, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I feel like most projects that I work on, I love sticking to the script. I'm very adamant and dedicated to doing that, but I also love, you know, let's fuck around and play and improvise. And that happened a lot on Tires. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you watch a lot of shows and it's like you have the main principal actor like doing something crazy, and then you have like a featured background being like, I can't do that. I'm going to open my mouth and I'm going to say whatever comes to my mind. So that's kind of what, and you're right. I did have to take a chance. I had to have the confidence to do that. And I, you know, I read the room. I made sure, you know, I was like, okay, is that, and then I started doing it, and it worked out in my favor. I had so much, I'm very grateful for what made the final cut at the actual bikini car wash scene. I don't know. I'm sure you watch Tires, right? Yeah. I'm washing the car, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, you have a beautiful mom. I'm like, your car's so dirty. All of that was improvised. That wasn't in the script. And then he was like, you have a beautiful mind. I was like, thanks. I go to church. That was completely improvised.
That was.
Yeah, I didn't know that wasn't written. I came up with all that. And
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah.
Damn, girl. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, nobody puts baby in the corner. I remember there's something really funny too, like when Shane is giving that and what's really funny is that so we shot this in like August, but then we actually had to do a reshoot in December, where we reshot that speech that he's giving to us, like that monologue that he does, and we're sitting on the ground. We reshot that. And so I came back to set, and to be able to come back to set like 4 months later with fresh eyes, I definitely came way more confident because I knew what this project was now at that point. And he's like doing this speech, and he's like looking at us, and he's like, "Where did you think you would be when you were like 20, when you were 30? You thought you'd be blah." And like they had me say like, I'm 23. And that was funny too. Like that was something that we like improvised, but that wound up not making it. But I feel like most of the things that all the fun improv scenes that we did do and work on, they pretty much did make the final cut.
So much fun. So much more fun, I think, than drama.
Yeah. And I had so much fun on that cast. I'm learning Spanish, and Emily, who played Alexis, who did the stunt and she smashed her head, she speaks Spanish. So a lot of that time on set was like me and her like talking in Spanish because I'm learning Spanish. I had a lot of fun, and Rachel Keefe I connected. I instantly bonded with her. And then I realized she goes to Actors Lab. And I'm like, wait, my friend Shelby goes to Actors Lab. My friend Eric goes to Actors Lab. And that's when that seed had been planted in me. I'm like, I should probably check out Actors Lab. Yeah, it was a good fun. But I didn't find out it was picked up by Netflix. It was a February night. I was lying in the bed right over here, and my cousin sent me on Instagram. Netflix was like, Tyres is coming to Netflix. And she's like, isn't this the show you worked on? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess it's picked up by Netflix. We didn't get an email or nothing. And then I texted my agent. I'm like, did you know this? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, why didn't you tell me?
Most information in this business is known on a need-to-know basis only, as you're discovering.
Yeah. There's their Instagram. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's, I mean, you got to experience, you got to pick the plum. You got to taste the cherry where you're on this cool set, you're working, you're feeling very fulfilled, and life is just perfect. And I just wish that was the case for actors of our type all the time, but unfortunately that's not the case, and some of us have to have survival gigs and jobs. And I discovered in my research that you and I kind of sort of have a QVC connection.
Oh, yeah.
I had a desk job there for over a decade, and I noticed that you had a gig as a spokesperson, a spokesmodel for a startup company that was started by QVC.
Yeah, so I was a live stream host. So QVC is what's like the parent company of Sune, Sune. It was pretty much like TikTok but for shopping, a live experiential shopping platform. And I think it launched June, or it was like I started working in April of 2023. And it launched that spring summer, where it was an app. Soon was an app. It also had a website, but it essentially was, they have since done a business rebranding. But at the time that I was working on this, it was a live shopping experiential platform. And we would go live several times throughout the day, talking about clothes and hair products and shoes and arts and crafts, like anything you could think of. It was so much fun. But yeah, I was, hired by QVC. I had a QVC email, so I was R. Aspen at QVC. So, but we were our own little, because QVC is, in Westchester, but we were in New York. Actually, we were in Union Square. And again, I showed up like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here. Like, I don't know what this is gonna be. And they're like, my very first day on set, they're like, you're going live on the app. I'm like, me live? I have no media training. I don't know how many people watched those live streams that I did, but I said some things. I had some fun. But yeah, I did that for a year. They've since done a business rebranding though. They now don't have, because there was like 20 of us and they called us Soon Setters. But they have now since, the content that they have on their app is more so like from the sellers that they have on the app. Like, so, we had like so many different brands that would sell through that app. That's kind of what it was, kind of like how TikTok Shop is. But now they have the sellers on that app making their own content, being like, hi, I'm a jewelry maker and this is, you know what I mean? But what it was when I was there was like, hey guys, I'm Rachel and I'm going to show you this necklace today. Yeah, so I learned a lot about different products. But yeah, that was so much fun. And that was acting adjacent. Like I was getting to be a host, getting to model, being live on air, and everyone that worked for that company was awesome. So cool. Made a lot of friends, a lot of connections. Yeah, for me, it's like when I go to, I'm like, I made friends. Like, it's not like I made connections. It's like, I made friends. Yeah, so I did that for a year, but now they did a business remodel. So if they hadn't, I'd still be up there in New York being like, hey guys, we're live on the Soon app and I'm going to show you these shoes. Leave your questions below and I'll answer them, you know? But yeah, they went down a whole different direction, but so I did do that.
Cool.
It's fun. Yeah.
That's a great lesson for actors out there. It's not just about TV and film acting. You can be a spokesperson, a spokesmodel. You can be an influencer. You can be a standardized patient. I mean, there's multiple options to do camera work in addition to waiting for these more plum gigs, if you will, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And even with this, for instance, being on a podcast and the fact that they're, you know, I know who I am as Rachel, but I don't know who Rachel is because on camera I'm playing other characters, but it's like, no, I'm of course, like, you know, censoring, you know, all of my thoughts, but when I'm on camera, like I have to be authentic Rachel like it's weird. I don't know, because I want to be myself, but I also am on camera. So it's like, who am I? When I was working for Soon, I'm like, who do I want to be? What type of Soon setter am I? You know, and it was very, and even now, like I can't really form the thought of who do I want to be on camera, because ultimately anyone watching this doesn't know me and my day, like, you know me on our day-to-day life, and I want who I am as a person. I want that to show. I want to be authentic and I want to be myself. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like being on the internet. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't, because I want people, you can't see the real person unless you meet them in real life and have conversations with them. And I don't know. I don't want anyone to think, I always wondered, how do people perceive me? I'm green, dude. As I'm talking, I'm listening to myself talk. I'm like, I'm a green actor. But yeah, I just want people to see the real me. And I want to be honest. I want to be truthful. And I feel like no matter what room I go in, I'm always myself, which is why I could never work in corporate America, because I would get sent to HR.
Okay.
You
know what though, Rach? Now, in all seriousness, yeah, you are green, but you're also human. You're very human. And if it makes you feel any better, with this podcast, this is the first time that I, Paul Monty, have put myself out into the world as Paul Monty. For the last 15 years, it's always been through a character. And that's been a growth point for me in doing this. I've always been afraid to put me out there for people. Having fear, being afraid of judgment, fearing that you're not good enough, that you're not cool enough, that you have nothing to say. And if I'm being truthful, doing this podcast has been a growth process for me in terms of me feeling and expressing that me, Paul, is good enough for the world to see. And that's okay. No one's going to come beating down the doors saying, no, Paul, we don't want to hear this. You're not talented. You don't have anything good to say. Your guests have nothing good to say. That's not the case. And that's not the world that we're living anymore. We can't just live through characters. I think it's important that we put ourselves out there. We're educating and entertaining each other now through social media, through the TikToks. And that's what makes us more connected. Like, granted, we're not meeting so much in person anymore through various parameters and events in our lives right now, but we still have the chance to let ourselves be known and to connect with people through these kind of platforms. So my advice would be, don't be afraid to put Rachel out there, because I think you'll find more connections and more commonalities with people than you think.
Thank you. And may I say, you're so calm, cool, and collected. And I'm like, should I try to be a bit more calm, cool, and collected? I don't know. There's many different sides to me.
Well, remember, I've taken a few more steps down the road, you know. So, and please believe me, I have not not been always like this. I came out of the womb afraid of almost everything, afraid of people, afraid of experiences. And it's been a process to learn how to calm down, to have self-confidence, and to know that your existence has value for the world and for people. And I'm continuing to learn that. But it's curious. Like, if we can take 5 minutes, I'm curious that I'm sure you probably struggle and have a challenge with this as well, but me too, in terms of always doubting our ability as performers. Like, it's particularly with auditioning, because I audition more than I actually work, but it'll happen every day where I'm doing a self-tape and I'll go, that take was good. That take, not so great. That was god awful. Oh God, I'm tired. I can't nail these lines. What is wrong with me? I'm a worthless piece of shit. What am I doing with my life? So I don't know who else relates to that. I don't know if you do, but if you do, let me know. And is there any way that you can combat those thoughts? Is there any way that you quiet your mind? I do it through meditation, and that has helped me. But I'm curious, do you relate to those feelings of inadequacy as an actress?
Yeah, I do. And I think it disguises what's different is that I'm at a point. I used to hate myself. Like, when I was a teenager, I hated myself. I was mean to myself. I'm not mean to myself anymore. So for me, I'm like, I've grown. I've grown so far, but no, I think for me, it disguises itself, that self-consciousness and that self-loathing, because I do. A lot of times I watch my work and I'm like, I don't believe her. I don't believe that, and I frame it as I am, critiquing myself, and I just want to push myself to be better. But yeah, I think, that definitely probably stems from me not feeling good enough, or I don't know. I don't know what it stems from, but I do that. And it's so sneaky, those thoughts that I have, because I frame them as, oh, I'm just trying to make this the best audition I can make it, or, so I do that. And I need to work on that. I think for me, though, when I get really anxious, I take a walk. I'm in therapy. I do so much. I'm very, very focused right now on trying to, get my anxiety under control and get my mental health together. That is like the number one and most important thing in my life, is going to therapy and, working on myself and trying to take accountability for things that I don't like about myself. And yeah, that's definitely one of them, that because it's not like the forefront of my life like it used to be, I don't think it's a problem anymore. But there is always room to work on that and to be nicer to myself. But at the end of the day, I do believe in myself, and I have people that believe in me. And what if I didn't have anyone that believed in me? What about that? If my mom didn't believe in me, if Brian Fox didn't say nice things to me, would I still feel the way that I do now? Would I still believe in myself? And now I'm having a whole philosophical crisis. But I don't know. I do believe in myself. And I think that at the end of the day is the thread that keeps me all together, is that I do believe in myself. And I am fortunate to have people that believe in me and that are supportive of me. And you might be in a situation where you don't have that. I don't know. But I know that the shoes that I'm in right now, I have a support system. I believe in myself, and I take care of myself, and I take walks, and I go to therapy, and I journal. And yeah, I think it's a matter of practicing, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you take that thought and you rephrase it in a way that's nicer to yourself. So instead of saying I am a worthless piece of shit, there's probably a way you could, I wasn't happy with that take because of this, but that doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person, So I don't know.
I get it. I understand it. And
I'm in the same boat as you, dude.
We are in the same boat, my dear. We really are. We all are. And that's the point of this podcast, is to make people feel that they're not so alone in this endeavor, because we feel compelled to follow this life. And it's what I follow a spiritual leader, a thought leader on YouTube. His name is Bentinho Massaro. And he talks about following the breadcrumb trails of your excitement. And if you do that through life, if you just follow your instinctual inclinations to do what you think is going to make you happy, whatever activity that may be, you're going to be okay. You will be okay. The universe will open doors for you where there weren't doors for anyone else. And that's kind of Joseph Campbell as well. But if you do that, and if you have a little bit of support along the way, I firmly believe and know that you are fine and you will continue to be fine. But other than that, it's life. Welcome to the human existence, my dear. You know what I mean? And just remember, when we have these moments, it's important for us to remember that we're just not alone. It's not just you.
I know.
And we're all on that boat too.
That's a core belief of mine, that I don't want anyone to feel alone, because I felt so much of my childhood, I just felt alone and like no one understood me. And I don't want anyone else to feel that way. And I don't want I just feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think some people might think that is like a weakness, but I find that as a strength, because I am always myself, and no matter what room I go in. And I hate that people put a mask on and they try to act like things are better than they are. I don't know, I'm rambling here, but
no.
If everyone just said how they felt, we wouldn't have to play these games. Like, if everyone was just honest and said how they felt and how they were feeling, the world would be a way more honest place. But censor yourself if you're thinking mean things about someone. If you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. I'm not saying that, but I know. I think when I first came into the room at Actors Lab, like Brian was like, you have so much energy and that might hinder you as an actor, which sure, that is a conversation to have of how to be calm, cool, and collected when you're in the audition room. But we're not in the audition room right now, so I'm balls to the walls because this is how I am.
Balls to the wall is how you have to be. And if that's your speed, if that's your gear, then ride it, girl. Ride it. And you have to feel in life. You can't become an ice queen, an ice king. You can't shut down that way. If you do, then you're not being human. And it's the yin and the yang. We signed up for the good and bad, the light, the dark, the sweet and the sour, and we can't appreciate the positive without the negative. And I think we have to get to a point where we have to realize that the negative is just as valid and can teach you just as much as the positive. They really are one and the same. But that's my armchair philosophical rant for this episode. But, people who know me know that I can go on and on about that. That's my bread and butter. That's my wheelhouse. And that's what I like to talk about as well. But we have to get to, I want to cap this off with getting away from shop for a minute. And I want to talk about one peculiar aspect of you. And I just discovered this yesterday. You have an Instagram called Ray Rates. And listen carefully, folks. Rachel is on a mission to find the world's perfect chicken parm. I shit you not. And she's got a rating system. She judges these chicken parms on thickness of the chicken, crispiness, the sauce, the pasta, the overall experience, the value. I mean, where did this come from?
This comes from the fact that there's been two halves of my life so far. The first half of my life is at any restaurant I went to, I ordered chicken fingers. And then the sophisticated half of my life is probably when I turned like 17. I exclusively would only order chicken parm anywhere. And I was tired of people bullying me for that, saying that I have no taste, that I was tired of that. I was tired of these people putting me down for wanting to eat chicken parm everywhere I went. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a fucking game out of it. If I call myself a chicken parm food critic, everyone can shut up. And they have. They since have. Now whenever we go out to eat, they're like, are you going to rate? I'm like, yeah, I am. I am going to rate. But I will say, I have gone through a renaissance in the past year of my life. The last 2 years, my taste buds have grown exponentially, and yours can too. If you eat something 7 times, I think you can really make your taste buds grow accustomed to things. There are a few things that I will never eat. I will never eat sauerkraut. I'll never eat mayonnaise. I'll never eat what's the things that they give you at the coleslaw? Fucking disgusting. I'll never eat that. But I eat vegetables now and I eat many things. But prior to that, I think it was 2021 that I was like, I'm making a chicken parm food account and I have 70 loyal followers. And it's for my friends and family. It's satire, but it's not really. I do kind of take it seriously. And I wanted to see, did someone say chicken parm?
She's holding up a T-shirt, a black T-shirt that says, "Did someone say chicken parm?" with a cartoon of chicken parm, complete with the parsley on it.
Hell yeah.
So she's serious, folks.
For my birthday. It was such a, when she handed that, I just was like screaming. I'm like, you know me so well. My friend Emily. Thank you, Emily. I love you. But yeah, I started this chicken parm Instagram out of bullying. Not really. But yeah, now it's just become like this little running joke and game for me. And yeah, now my taste buds have expanded. So there are times that I don't know, but I do always get chicken parm. And I love chicken parm. And I have a whole rating system to it, and it's evolved over the years. I used to exclusively get my sauce on the side. Hear me out. Because the sauce makes the chicken soggy. And if you don't have the sauce, if you just have your chicken with your cheese and then your pasta over here, you can have the nice crisp of the chicken, which is one of my ratings. I rate how crispy the chicken is because I love a good crispy chicken parm and I love a good thin chicken parm. Now, when I go to like really authentic Italian restaurants, which also I just went to Italy, there is no chicken parm in Italy. I knew that. But when you're in New York or when you're in Philly and you go to like an authentic Italian restaurant that has like good sauce, I will now get my sauce on it because I'm starting to like sauce more like that. But yeah, that's a big thing to know. Having the sauce on the side, it makes your chicken nice and crispy. But yeah, I've been rating for a long time now, and I don't always post my ratings because it's a lot. It's really hard to be a food critic. Because I just want to enjoy my chicken parm. But yeah, I do have my Instagram, and my mission is to find the world's best chicken parm. Usually one South Jersey restaurant at a time, because I'm from South Jersey. But yeah, I rate.
So what's number one on your list right now? What's the top ranking chicken parm?
You know, I have really memorable chicken parms, and I'll never forget having a beautiful chicken parm on my senior trip. When I was 18 years old, I was in Disney World, and we ate at, what was it? Was it Via Napoli? And I've been there 3 times, and every time I'm at, it always tastes different because Disney World probably has like a rotating chef, because the turnover rate's probably so high. But anyway, I remember in 2018, I didn't even order a chicken parm. I ate fucking chicken fingers, and I had a bite. Everyone at the table my senior trip all got chicken parm, and I remember it being the most delectable chicken parm I'd ever eaten at the time thus far in my life. And then I remember there's this place I always go to whenever I go to Longwood Gardens. I go to when you're in the Longwood Gardens area in Pennsylvania, you go to Chester, Kennett Square. And there's this place that I eat at that's always so good. Is it La Verona? Let me just pick up I have to fact check that. That is always, I remember the first time I had that was like 2018. And again, it was like, it hit. It really, really hit. Let me fact check that. I believe I went La Verona. Yep, La Verona. And then you go across the street to this hole in the wall ice cream shop, and they have like weird ice cream flavors like corn ice cream. La Verona is good. Recently, what's up there, and my cousins are from Brooklyn. They're from Bay Ridge, and they were telling me, you gotta go to Gino's. And I went to Gino's in Bay Ridge. Now that right there, I didn't get the sauce on the side because look, it was great. That was authentic. That was good chicken parm. And I clear my plates. I'll always post the damage that I do. Cause I don't know, I'm gonna clear my plate. So yeah, I would say Gino's in Brooklyn is up there. Via Napoli is not up there. It's just a memorable chicken parm. My most consistent favorite chicken parm that I love to eat, Haddon Township, New Jersey, South Jersey. There is a place called, I think it's pronounced Trino, but I always called it Trino. So I'm going to keep calling it Trino. They have the most consistent chicken parm. You go, you're getting the same thing. They season their chicken very uniquely. Most places that you go to, they just straight up bread the chicken. You're lucky if they put salt and pepper on that because you're supposed to get the primary flavor from the sauce and the cheese. But if you go somewhere that actually seasons the chicken, it's memorable. And Trino always does that. And Trino's chicken parm used to be $13, which is a steal. $13. I think they're at 14 or 15 now because of inflation. But that right there is like, if I could have Trino like every day, that's my consistent, my favorite chicken parm probably.
I think I've been there. I've been there for a few first communion and confirmation lunches. So I think I've had their parm.
Yeah, but when I go to a restaurant, like I've been to several weddings and like funerals, I guess. And they serve you, like when you're at a luncheon and they serve you chicken parm cooked in bulk. I can't rate that because that's not fair to the restaurant. If they were just preparing a solo dish of chicken parm for me, that's going to be their best work. When you go somewhere and you go to like a wedding and there's, or a buffet and it's chicken parm cooked in bulk, it might be good chicken parm, but I'm not going to rate that because that's not the best they can give you. You got to order it. You got to sit down at a table and have that chicken parm cooked fresh for you.
I get it.
Katrina's the best.
So like the wedding and funeral, luncheon, whatever, chicken parms do not apply.
They don't. No, they don't because it wouldn't be fair. Yeah.
Damn, you are discriminating. Wow.
Oh no! Do not say that. Do not say that. I do not discriminate.
No, it's good. I mean, you found a particular dish, and no one is going to, be as discriminating as you are. And I think it's cool and cute and fun, and it's nice to know that from Jersey to New York to Florida, there's quality chicken parm out there.
There is.
This podcast and this conversation with you, Rachel, will not be duplicated. I can virtually guarantee that. And
I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting here racking
this is cool.
Trying to think, what have I said and should I let Paul post this? Like that. Did we have any conversation? Like,
are you going to send me notes like on in a couple days and say, wipe out half this conversation? No, it's you have painted a nice picture of you, and I appreciate that. I'm sure our listeners appreciate that. And balls to the wall, you're being yourself. So, dare I ask? I like to finish the conversations with pearls of wisdom. Is there anything that you live by that your acting experiences or life in general has taught you that you carry with you in terms of a wisdom pearl?
I mean, I'm constantly learning and evolving. And, I'm not so green that I'm yellow, but I do hold true that I'm still green. And I don't want to discredit the fact that I've been doing this my whole life. I've been doing theater since I was 7, and I have a degree in theater and I work professionally. I don't want to invalidate that about myself. This past week, I trademarked a new mantra. And I really like this. I've been saying this to myself because I'm going through the whole process right now I want to spend the winter in LA, and I'm trying to find an apartment to sublet. It's a lot of work, and I'm like, do I want to rent a car? And how am I going to get my car out there? What do I do? What neighborhood do I go in? And then I'm like talking myself out of it. But then I told myself, if anyone can do this, it's me. And that's a new mantra that I think anyone can apply to themselves. If anyone can do it, it's you. We all know someone in our life that gets shit done, that they stay to their word. They say they're going to do something and they do it. I want to be that person. I don't want to talk myself out of things. And I don't know anyone over there. I know 3 people. It's going to suck. I don't know logistically where I want to live, having a car out there. I might have to live with randos, but if anyone can do it, it's me. So that's my pearl of wisdom. Ask me this in 2 weeks. I might have something new for you. But right now, with where I am in my life, that's just something that I'm starting to live by. And I think that applies to anyone, whether you're an actor or not. But if anyone can do it, it's you. So nothing changes. So that's what I have for you. Dear followers, this is all I have. Take it or leave it.
Speaking of followers, where can people find you if they want to know more information about you?
Oh, God knows why anyone would want to know more information about me. At Rachel Aspen is my Instagram. That is my name. And you can follow my IMDb. I have a website, Rachel-Aspen, because apparently there's another Rachel Aspen out there. She's a motivational speaker. I wish her the best, but I don't have that domain now for the website. So it's rachel-aspen.com. I'm pretty much active on Instagram, but I'm not, so that's where you can find me. Or you can ask my mom. She always knows what's going on. She's a gossiper. If you live in South Jersey, my mom, you can ask her what's Ray up to. She'll tell you.
So if the internet goes down, find Rachel's mom.
Kate. Find Kate, yeah.
Find Kate. I love it. I have laughed. I have smirked more in this podcast than I have in any one I've done so far. Rachel Aspen, thank you so much, my dear, for your energy, for being you, and wishing you peace, love, and quality chicken parm.
Oh, thank you. You too. Thanks so much for having me.